3.3, we are graphing linear equations. So since they say linear, we know that we're specifically graphing lines. And we know that to graph a line, we only actually need 2 points. And they do it a couple ways. They start out by plotting points, and we did that in an earlier section. So we'll go to their second route. Their second suggestion is to do it by finding the x and the y intercepts. That means where the graph crosses the x-axis and the y-axis. And if you had that, you would have 2 points, and you would be able to draw your line. So let's think about a graph on an XY table. Let's draw, and I'll just draw a random line. When I cross the x-axis, that point right there, the y value is 0, isn't it? So if I want to find the x-intercept, I will let y equal 0. And let's go vice versa. Let's say I want to know where it crosses the y-axis, and I can see it crosses right there. And look, that corresponding x value is 0. So if I want to find the y-intercept, I will let x equal 0. So let's try it. Let's say they ask us to graph 2x plus 3y equals -6. So I can do that just by finding the intercepts, and that will give me 2 points, which is enough to graph a line. So once again, if I want my x-intercept, we will let y equal 0. So it would look like this: 2x plus 3, and instead of y, we're going to write 0, equals -6. And then we just solve, and we go, oh, 3 times 0 is 0, so that's gone. And all I have is that. And then to get x alone, we'll divide both sides by 2, so I get x equals -3. Now we already know that we let y equal 0, so x is -3 and y is 0. And that's 1 point. Now we'll need another one, so let's get a second one by finding the y-intercept by letting x equal 0. So coming up here to my original equation, instead of an x, I will plug in a 0 right there. And then I still have my plus 3y equals -6. 2 times 0 is 0, so once again that's gone. And then dividing both sides by 3, we see that y equals -2. So we have a second point. We let x be 0, so the x value is 0, and we got that y is -2, so the y value is -2. And if we're supposed to graph it, then we just draw our xy table, and we graph those very 2 points. So -3, up 0, and 0, so I don't go right or left, down 2. And that is enough to draw my line. And try to draw it straight. Mine's not so straight, but it's supposed to be. Let's see. The other thing your homework does is they will have you write using function notation. So let's say I give you an equation. Let's say -x plus 2 times y equals 6. What I want you to do is write it using function notation. And we know, we've already learned that function notation is where they call y f of x, or it can be g of x, or it can be h of x. It can be actually any letter they want. F of x is the most common. But in order to change y, we have to get y alone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here to the equation that I'm given, and I'm going to get y alone. So if I'm solving for y, I do the furthest thing from y. So not the 2, but the -x. And to get rid of that x, I'm subtracting it, so I need to add x to both sides. So on this side, the x and the x cancel, and I have 2y equals, and on this side, one has an x and one does not. So they are not like terms, so don't combine them. Just say now I have x plus 6. And then to get y completely alone, we'll divide by 2. And remember to divide every single term by 2, or it's not legal. So we get y equals x over 2, or 1/2 times x. You can write it either way. They're both correct. They are the same. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. Now, all I've done is solve for y. I haven't done the problem yet. Now they want me to write it using function notation. So since y is alone, instead of y, I'll put f of x there. And so I have f of x equals 1/2 x plus 3. And I now have a line in function notation. That, believe it or not, is this whole assignment. So, email me with any questions and I will answer those. And do your very best. Good luck, good luck.